Hello and welcome back to the Oxford Mathematics Online Open Day. I'm joined now by a panel of Oxford staff, students and tutors. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves quickly before we start taking your questions. I think students first. So Srijan.
Hello, I'm Srijan. I'm a student. I'm a first year math student here at Oxford. I'm actually an international student. I'm from the US actually, and I'm just studying here.
Thanks, Srijan. Max next.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm a third year math student at St. John's.
Thank you, Max. And Callie.
Hello, I'm Callie. I'm a first year student doing maths at Worcester College.
And then I've got Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm a third year mathematics and computer science student at St. John's.
And I can see Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm one of the computer science tutors.
Then Sarah.
Need to unmute myself first. Hi, I'm Sarah. So I'm the admissions manager at the Department of Computer Science.
And last but not least, Stuart.
Hi, I'm Stuart. I'm a member of the maths department and a tutor in maths.
Thank you, panel. Okay, so we've got questions coming into Slido at the moment, and people are giving things thumbs ups if they also want to hear about them. I think I'm going to do a maths and computer science question. There's a question about the difference between computer science and maths and computer science. I know we've got a range of maths people and computer science on the call. Can I put Dave on the spot to talk about the difference between those two courses?
Certainly, yes. I mean, so one thing to say in answer to that question is that the Oxford Computer Science course in general is quite mathematical. So you'll see that in terms of the courses that are offered. So in the first year, for example, the difference between the math and computer science and the computer science is not hugely different. They do a lot of the same things. So the computer science half of that is introducing some of the programming courses, which is exactly the same as for the computer science students. Roughly speaking, it's kind of half and half split between the two, roughly speaking. The difference is as you get to the kind of later years, there's a lot more options. Okay, so for computer science in particular, all of the third or the fourth year is options. And there for the computer science part, you've got a lot more computer science specific options in terms of security and machine learning and graphics and all sorts of things. So I think that's where you'd see the bigger difference.
Thank you, Dave. Do any of the students want to comment on maths versus maths and computer science? I'm going to say hands up or wave at me if you want to have an opinion on why you chose to study one of those things and not the other. Related questions in chat. Go on, Callie.
I can have a go. I know that, I mean, I don't know a huge lot about the differences, but I am aware that sort of, at least in first year, that maths and computer science skip out on a lot of the first year applied maths and do a lot of the first year pure maths instead. And I just sort of wanted to get a bit of both and in just maths, I guess, instead of doing some computer science.
Yeah, so I'm trying to mention. Go, Sarah, go.
Yeah, so I chose to study maths and CS, and I can say that I enjoy both maths and CS. And for instance, if studying only maths versus maths and CS, I feel like I do enjoy algorithms part of CS course and also functional programming. I think these are useful skills to get. And then studying maths and CS versus versus CS, I just couldn't not study maths. That would personally for me that would be a mistake, I think. So that's my experience.
That's really nice. The top question at the moment, which I think we're going to have to get to, is the main differences. What are the main differences between Oxford and, I'm afraid, Cambridge? So people would like us to talk about Cambridge, and I don't know if I want to put the students on the spot to explain the differences between Oxford and Cambridge, given that I imagine the students have got an obvious bias. I think I'm going to go to Stuart. Stuart, as a tutor, what's the difference between Oxford and Cambridge?
Well, first of all, I have experience of both. I was an undergraduate in Cambridge a long time ago. So I think we both offer a wonderful course, and I'm not going to try and sit here and say that I think we have a better course. I think the maths and computer science thing we do is something we do and Cambridge don't. And I would hope my colleagues in Cambridge are not going to sit here and say that they have a better course. I think we both offer a really wonderful course with lots of exciting mathematics. So I think when you're doing this at the moment, I think the big difference between Oxford and Cambridge for the people listening to this Zoom call is the way we do our admissions. And so I think one difference that you might want to consider is, do you want to do admissions with step exams in June, or do you want to do admissions with doing a test earlier? And if you get given an offer, then your offer is only going to be based on A levels. I think that is actually a fundamental difference between the way the two universities admit for mathematics based courses. But when you get here, I mean, I think both are an amazing experience. So, you know, if you don't have an opinion on the admission system, then I think you can sort of, you know, be excited about applying to either university, and you know, which town you would prefer to live in is a very good reason. I think the towns are different, and maybe the students will have an opinion on that. But I think it would be wrong for either of us not to say that the other program is really, really excellent.
I think I saw, they were on mute, but I think I saw the students laugh at the Oxford-Cambridge comparison. I'm not going to put anyone in particular on the spot, but do you want to talk about choosing between Oxford and Cambridge? Wave at me if you'd like a go at that. Oh. They're not so keen on explaining the choice between those. Let's talk about supercurriculars instead, because earlier we had an admissions talk and we mentioned personal statements. I talked about giving context around your application, but I didn't give very concrete suggestions of what people would actually talk about in their personal statements. People in chat I see are using the word supercurricular, which is things that go beyond the maths that you're learning in school. So other supercurricular things that you're interested in. I wonder if the students have got suggestions of what they got up to beforehand. Go on, Max.
Yeah, I would personally say that there's nothing in particular, but just exploring something you're passionate in, either doing some research of your own or actually trying to do some maths, trying to code up some examples of maths you're interested in, or just exploring it by yourself. Showing some passion in maths is what I would say is a very strong thing to say in your personal statement, and also something just to show you're interested to the tutors, and something you can talk about in interviews maybe.
Who else can I put on the spot? So there's a question about maths and computer science as well. So Sarah from computer science department. Have you got any suggestions for maths and computer science in particular, which seems quite popular with the people in chat?
In terms of supercurriculars, I think I'd absolutely agree with what Max just said. I think anything that kind of, you know, piques your interest in computer science and maths, whatever it might be, we want to see something that you're really passionate about, and that comes in lots of, you know, different forms. You know, I see a few things, you know, repeated on personal statements, but that's by no means the kind of be all and end all of things that you should do. You know, like the UKMT have some really good like maths challenges and that kind of thing. So I do see that quite a lot on applications. I do see Project Euler up there a few times. I do see things like Enriched Mathematics, but really anything that you can do that shows you're passionate about mathematics, about computer science is really good. And of course, James, you have a regular live stream on Thursdays called the Maths Club, which could be a really good way of showing your interest outside the curriculum as well.
May have mentioned the live stream. Srijan's been on the live stream as well. Callie's moderated live stream. We've got some live stream people in the room with us. Dave, do you want to add any specific computer science resources? You can pass it.
No, I would just echo what's been said, that you're, as someone doing admissions, you're looking for something that stands out and shows a bit of enthusiasm and resilience, and it doesn't matter what it is. When we look at the balance of a maths or computer science background, we've got ways to do that in terms of the test and so on. So in terms of these extra things, just showing you've done some competitions or some challenges in either maths or programming is going to be a good thing to do. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else keen to jump in on supercurricular Activity, go, Sarah.
Yeah, so for me personally, I got interested into maths by doing competitions, so solving some harder problems. But I want to say that it's not all that there is. What I haven't done, but I wish somebody has suggested me, is to read more maths books because there are so many. And if you need some inspiration, I got introduced to this book like pretty late in my high school, but it's called Proofs from the Book. And I think it's very good introductory book that covers all fields of maths, but the proofs are very elegant. That's the proof. That's the point of the book. So yeah, I would say maybe start reading that if you need some motivation or some. That is external resource from me. My recommendation.
I've got this as well. Some of the proofs are quite hard. I think it's on a ramp. I like the way it's proofs from the book. So it's not the book. It's a tribute to the book that has all the great proofs in, I guess. It's a technical admissions question. Yes. I think the quote is something like maybe God has the book that has all of the correct proofs.
Yeah. So Paul Erdos, a Hungarian mathematician, he was saying that there are these elegant maths proofs that he thought are so beautiful that they come from the book. And so, yeah, that's why this book has very, very great maths proofs.
So because someone's asked, the name of the book there is Proofs from the Book, and we don't get commission every time we mention it. So technical admissions question is currently at the top, which I'm going to throw to Sarah. If an applicant cannot be admitted for the course of maths and computer science, can they be considered for maths?
So yeah, if a student applies to a joint honours course and we offer them both a single honours, then that student could be considered for either one of those single honours courses as well. But the student will always be considered for the two courses, so for the course that they applied for in the first instance, and it's only if they don't get a place on there. If the tutors who are interviewing them think they're strong enough in one of those two subjects, they may get offered a place on one of the single honours courses. In terms of how often that happens in maths, I'm not sure, but it happens a handful of times each year for computer science. So we might have some people applying for maths and computer science who get offered a straight computer science course. But James, I don't know if you know how frequently it happens the other way around, kind of those applying for maths and computer science who just end up getting a maths offer.
That's not impossible. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. Stuart's nodding. Maybe Stuart can remember a case.
I can remember a case. It's not impossible and it's not massively common, I think.
By and large, I think applicants tend to apply for the course that they're most suitable for. So we're not in the business of needing to switch people around from physics and French and things. There's a question about all the different parts of the application, which I suppose as we're jumping around from personal statements and interviews and supercurricular stuff, there's a question about parts of the application, which I think I'm going to give my take as admissions coordinator. I know that's very rude running a panel. So from my point of view, the maths admissions test is maybe the most important thing when we're shortlisting at that stage. And then when we're making offers, we have in addition, we have interviews, and we've actually met you and done some maths questions with you. We don't have an official weighting on those two things at the point that we make offers, but we do look at both. Stuart is helpfully nodding, which is the sort of approval that I look for in all bits of my life. I don't know if I should give right of reply to computer science for various parts of the application and which ones you want to highlight in particular. For me, I highlight maths and interviews.
I mean, the broad picture is very much the same. That shortlisting the map test, which we share, is crucial, and then later on the interview comes into it. But there's a lot of commonality, particularly on the maths test. But even the interviews themselves, which might get discussed later, they're quite mathematical from a computer science perspective. So yeah.
Yes, I realised I hadn't talked about interviews. I acted like I had, but we haven't talked about interviews yet. Let's do that. I don't have a question lined up. So I saw going through at one point, there was a question about how you prepare for interviews or what sort of things happen at interviews. I think I want to get the students involved in this, given that you've been to some interviews for your course here. what did you do to get ready for a maths interview? Maybe we should restrict to things that were helpful. Let's go Srijan.
Yeah, so I think if you actually just I think maybe Google Oxford Maths interviews, like practice questions or something, I think there's like a website or two that has like a listing of I think like a past professor, someone wrote a book or like published a website with just like a few questions. So I practice with those. Otherwise, I think for interviews, the main concept is they want it's supposed to be like a mock tutorial almost. They want you to just like as you're solving a problem, just like speak things out. And I think that's the most important bit. So I think I mean, if you pick even like maybe you can even pick like a past MAT question or like a step question or something, and like even just like talk your way through it. Just like for me, I just ours is virtual at least, so I just like just a practice for it. I took my iPad and I would practice writing up with a stylus and just kind of like talking things out. Then I just use that website and just like a few practice questions like that and just kind of try to talk things out.
Let's go to Max next.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on that. I would completely agree that it's the large part just doing maths with the tutor. The fact that it's called an interview is kind of a misnomer. It's much more of a tutorial, like you said, and practicing doing maths out loud with a friend or something, explaining what you're thinking, and also taking in what they're thinking, rather than so you can like move your train of thought quickly to take on new information and give what you're thinking is what what the interview will really be testing. And so practicing out loud is how I would practice for that.
Let's go to tutors as well. So tutors, I imagine, have seen a lot more interviews because you've done them from the other side. Is there any advice you would give to people who are thinking about coming for a maths interview?
I think the students have given the advice I would give, which is to practice talking about mathematics. I think when I was at school, I did mathematics primarily on a sheet of paper and didn't verbalize it all that much. And so I think, talking to your friends, solve problems together, try and use precise words. I think one piece of advice I would give is I think the students again have described it, we're trying to do a problem together and we're asking you to think. Typically, we're not asked, there are no trick questions, I think. So if a question feels easy, it's because we're trying to make sure that everybody is talking about the same thing and we're not trying to catch you out. And I think that's an important takeaway message that for the interview, that there should be no trick questions. And definitely practice speaking and thinking simultaneously. And be prepared to say, if you realize that what you were saying wasn't quite true, be prepared to say so. I think that's also an important thing. We certainly don't hold it against somebody who said something that wasn't correct and then realizes that actually, well, maybe in fact goes in a slightly different way. In fact, I think that's a really positive thing.
And it's something you can almost only do in an interview, is to correct someone, to challenge them and give them a chance to adapt what they wrote. In these kind of written tests, people make a mistake or
that's right. It's a better format from that point of view, because you don't, if the wrong track is being gone down that isn't going to work, well, you can just slide the student onto a track that is going to work, and the time is better used for both of us than perhaps in a test if it's not working.
We're still on admissions, I'm afraid. I sort of hope that at some point I might steer this off admissions and onto a course on student life, but I could stay on admissions for a little bit. I've got an intriguing question at the top of the Slido at the moment. It's can we include a particular question, I think they mean a maths question, that we found interesting in the personal statement and how we went about to solve it? Or is that just a waste of characters in the personal statement? So the situation here is somebody's solved a maths question of some description. They'd like to talk about that. I'm kind of looking to the students to see if anybody was in this sort of position of talking about some specific bit of mathematics that they're particularly interested in. Srijan's nodding. Do you want to talk about what you did, Srijan?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I was really interested in number theory. I had done a lot of competitions as well, so I was really into number theory. I talked about but I did IB, and I actually talked about what I did for my extended essay. I had considered Bertrand's postulate. In particular, I was writing about a proof of Bertrand's postulate that I found really interesting. It was like my first exposure with just like some foundations of analytic number theory, and I just kind of want to talk about that. So, and yeah, I mean, like you can talk like, how did you approach it? Because initially, like there were a lot of hurdles to me when I was writing that extended essay, and I did spend. I think it's a good thing. Like if you've done, if you've been trying to solve a problem, and you want to discuss what methods you use, things like that just shows your passion to the tutors about mathematics. And so in my personal statement as well, like I talked about a problem like that. What did I do to approach it? What struggles did I face? Things like that. And I spent about a paragraph on that.
Any other students want to tell a similar story or get involved on that? Yeah, go on, Max.
Yeah, if the problem is interesting to you, then it would be interesting to them to hear how it interests you as well. Like, I would definitely say include that, especially if the solution you've found was interesting too. It can be a good talking point in your personal statement.
I think before we get carried away, I want to stress that it's not the case that every personal statement solves a maths problem and teaches me something new. I've admitted lots of people who have not solved the Collatz conjecture or something, and I don't want people watching to feel that they have to do research mathematics in order to get admitted to an undergraduate degree. There's a couple of easy admissions questions which I'm going to say quickly. They've been sitting near the top because I consider them easy. So the top question at the moment is there any sort of bias depending on the sort of school you come from, sort of private versus state, to which the answer is simple and easy. It is no. We're looking for the best students for our maths course, irrespective of country, of where you're studying or how the schools work in that particular country. We want people who are going to do well on our course. And there's a question about unconditional offers. During the admissions talk earlier, I talked a lot about conditional offers, which I suppose leaves a gap in the language for an unconditional offer, an offer with no strings attached. You may start the course, whatever happens next. Those are pretty unusual. If we did that, it would perhaps be because someone had already completed their qualifications and already qualified to start the course, didn't need to show us anything else before starting. Generally speaking, we like to make sure that people keep doing some mathematics. So if you're currently studying qualifications that you haven't finished yet, you could reasonably expect that Oxford would like you to carry on doing that. We make offers in January and the course starts in October, so we do like to see that people are going to keep doing something in between there. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit towards college choice, I think, in the hope that we get to talk about how lovely colleges are. So there are questions coming in about how to choose a college. I've already told people in the admissions talk that they can choose one college as their preferred college, or if they make an open application, that they'll be assigned to a college and then that'll be treated as their choice of college. I have explained that whichever college people are at, they have the same maths lectures, content and exams. But students, you're assigned to, or you're living at or studying at particular colleges. I thought it'd be fun if we could each say, well, maybe why or something nice about your college. Maybe if you're happy, whether or not you applied to your college or whether you ended up at this college. I'm going, I think, to surprise the students in maybe reverse order, putting people on the spot. Yeah, so Sarah, if you're happy talking about colleges.
Yeah, so I applied originally to St. John's and got admitted into St. John's. I applied because I was seeking for a scholarship and St. John's was offering one. And I'm very happy with where I ended up with. I really like the college, but I have to say that from what I've heard, wherever you end up with, like whatever college you end up at, you will love it, absolutely.
Yeah, so you've mentioned scholarships there as well, which reminds me that people were asking about scholarships, and the situation is complicated. It varies from college to college and course to course. Perhaps we'll mention scholarships again in a moment, but let's go to Callie.
Okay, so I did get into the college I applied to, Worcester College. I think there's probably any number of metrics you could use to decide where you try to go to. But I think for me, it was probably some combination of like food, ensuite bathrooms, and location, I think. And I think Worcester College is really good location-wise because, or at least in my case, so it's really close to the train station, and it's pretty much a 10-minute walk to anywhere I need to go to from here. It's great.
Thank you, Callie, speaking for Worcester. Then we got Max next.
Yeah, like Sarah, I also applied and got into St. John's. Very happy with it. I think the biggest decision between colleges that you should make is whether you want a big college or a small college. And like St. John's is a big one. It's got a few hundred, like 100 or so per year, and so it's nice to socialize with everyone. It's also a great location. Yeah, very happy with it. Got gardens and everything. Wouldn't change my mind if I went again.
And Srijan to round out the students.
Yeah, so I'm at St. Cat's. I had actually made an open offer. I didn't choose a college when I was applying, partly because I couldn't really afford to fly in and really like look at the colleges really to make a choice. And for me personally, like I had read like even though you can choose a college, there's no guarantee that you'll really get it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just make an open offer. But regarding St. Cat's, I'm really happy with where I am right now. Like, with St. Cat's, it's a bit of it is on like a bit more on the outside of Oxford. So I mean, it's a bit far from city center. So it's about a 10-minute walk, and then to get to the Maths Institute, it's about a 20-minute walk. But I mean, otherwise, like that's maybe the only drawback I can see, like academic wise and social wise. Like the college is a great place.
What's your favorite thing about St. Catherine's College?
I must say like the tutors and actually just like the friend groups I've made. That yeah, it's a really welcoming community, and I'm just really enjoying it.
I like the way Catherine's is shortened to Cats. I think that's cute. I sort of want to go to the tutors as well to give them a chance for the college, but I know Stuart's also at St. John's, which is a third St. John's person. I'm going to go to Dave first, I think. Hi, Dave.
Hi, yeah. So I'm at Trinity College, which is great. It's a really friendly, lovely college. It's worth in that context mentioning some advice here is that Trinity is one of the few colleges that does maths and computer science separately, but doesn't actually yet offer the joint course. So you'll find a few colleges don't yet offer maths and CS as a combined, just because of the number of places they have right now. So if you're particularly interested in doing maths and computer science, just double check that the college you're applying for does offer it. That's just kind of one small caveat to throw in there.
Not all of the colleges offer all of the courses.
No, there's not many, but there's a few in that category.
Yeah, I think I've been saying 29 for mathematics, but then a smaller number for the other ones. Go on then, Stuart.
I don't really have much to add. I think the students have sort of nailed it when they sort of, you've heard from 4 students and they're all very happy. And in my job as a lecturer in the department, I don't think I've encountered a student doing maths who's not happy at their college. So, the colleges are all, it is, I think, true that they are more similar than they are different. And I don't think this is a huge decision. So you can decide, like, do you want to live in a college of old buildings or do you want to live in a college with new buildings? But I think it's not a decision I would massively agonize over with my department at all. Of course, like the students, I also think where I am is a very nice place to be, but I know that that's true of my tutorial colleagues across Oxford as well. So I wouldn't agonize over this.
And for Sarah, have you got a college fact or something?
Well, I can say that I've spoken to lots of students over the years, and yeah, you always tend to hear the same story that everyone's happy no matter where they've ended up. I mean, I remember having a conversation with a student quite recently who applied to Keble for the only reason that it was the closest to the Department of Computer Science, because it is sort of literally over the road. It's really, really close. And they didn't end up there. They ended up at Somerville. And actually, they said it's the best thing that could have happened to them. They really like it there. And yeah, would highly recommend that college to anyone else. But that's also, not to say that Keble wouldn't have been just as enjoyable too, but people do just tend to end, like wherever they end up. There's really sort of, kind of communal feel in the colleges, and I think that's just really nice.
So there's maybe one thing I do want to do. I think the college is about the people in it and the friends that you make. And And so that's why there are lots of students who all think they're at the best college because they've met their friends and people there. That would be my summary.
I'm still laughing at the idea. Well, Keble being right over the road from computer science. Somerville is not far from computer science.
I mean, you're looking at a whole 2-minute walk to lectures from Somerville.
I suppose we do like people with a mind for optimizing, but Oxford's not a very, very large city.
That front, let me put in a small plug for Trinity. So there's a back door from Trinity that gets you close, that cuts 5 minutes off your walk to lectures. And so if you Google Maps the walking directions, it doesn't give the full truth.
That's the sort of insider information you get from the open day. There are a couple of really nice questions coming in about student life, and we've mentioned these colleges, which has got people thinking about the student experience, I think. I'm going to merge questions or kind of twist questions together. So I'm interested in this kind of like opportunities for societies and student get-togethers and organised fun, for want of a better phrase, which when I talk about it sounds awful because I use phrases like organised fun. So I'd quite like it if the students could describe what they get up to when they're not doing maths or computer science or both. If anybody's happy to talk about social life outside of Oxford. Do you want to wait for me? Go on, Callie.
Right, let's see. There's a few things I go to. I think I went to the Freshers' Fair at the start of the year and had a sort of field day at the bit where all the nerdy societies are. And I started going to loads of different ones. And at the moment, I just go to like this board game society and I go to Pokemon Society. But you know, every so often I can spend an evening on my own as well and have fun that way instead. And it's all good fun.
Is Pokemon Society organised by students? Is it?
Yes, yeah. The president is a postgrad, I think. So it's all fun.
Nice. So it's not the case that Oxford University decided that we needed a Pokemon Society. It's sort of built up by the students for the students. Okay, there's the bar. Other students, go on, Max.
Yeah, to add to that, there's societies for just everything. Like most of them are made by students, run by students, and so you've got such a wide variety of societies. Lots of them sport related, so you can, however niche the sport you do is, you can probably do it here. There's, I think, Quidditch even, which is a bit crazy. And then another thing I'd like to say on socializing is that because you're always, well, actually that's not true. For most colleges, you live in college for your entire studies. It means you're living so close to your friends, you bump into them so often. And so there's so many opportunities to socialize, so many, there's also a very good college bar in, I think, every college as well. So there's so many opportunities to do things outside of your studies that you won't get bored.
I have follow-up questions about Quidditch, but I think I'm going to switch to other students. Sarah, do you want to tell us about student societies?
Yeah, well, I don't think I have anything to add. I suggest to all freshers go into Freshers' Fair, sign up for all the societies that sound interesting. You can always drop them if you don't like them or don't have time to spend on like going to their events. Personally, I've gone to college badminton, and also I'm doing yoga in college and also my own. So
could you describe this Freshers' Fair a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a huge tent in Uni Parks, at least in my year it was. And there is a bunch of tables, bunch of societies presenting themselves, and you're slightly overwhelmed by the amount, but I think that's good after all, because there's a long list to choose from, so you can always find what you're interested in.
Thank you. And Srijan, do you want to add any student societies or things you're getting up to?
Yeah. I actually don't have too much to add to that. But I also did attend the Freshers' Fair. And then I thought when I'm not doing maths, like I probably should, maybe go out a bit more. So I joined the chess society, and so I've just been playing chess with them every now and then.
Lovely. I think it's really nice that our students get up to extracurricular, doing other stuff during the course alongside their studies. I'm going to stress, because we've talked about admissions so much, I want to stress that this is not selection criteria. We didn't we didn't admit Cali for their interest in Pokemon. We didn't pick out the specific people who would do well on our, I don't know, competitive badminton team or something. Sorry, we picked people for their ability to do well on the maths course, and then it just so happens that they're interested in other stuff as well. If you're watching at home thinking, well, I don't do any sport and I'm not interested in some of this other stuff, then hey, that's all right for us for admissions, and hey, maybe at university some of that stuff maybe becomes more interesting as well. So it was veering into me thinking about how I hated sport at school, and then somehow at university, when people stopped shouting at me about sport, it was a bit more fun with friends. That was
my own experience as well, James. I don't like that actually, and it's also the nice thing about colleges because colleges are small. I would never have been able to sort of play badminton for a large university, but maybe I could play badminton for a college team because there's not so many people in the college. So the college nature of sport makes it more accessible, I think. I happen to know that actually most of our college badminton, lots of mathematicians, there's a lot of them play.
I won't ask what it is about badminton, but you're right, this kind of college network's good. Sarah.
So it might be worth mentioning, if you haven't had enough sort of maths and computer science in your course as well, there are some kind of maths and computer science based clubs as well that are on offer. So we've got like the Oxford Women in Computer Science Society that have lots of lectures and kind of social and various things together. There's the equivalent, the Mirzakhani Society over in maths as well. There's the Oxford CompSoc, so Computer Society, there's the Invariants, and they all do kind of similar things, and you might find that to be, a nice community. Again, there's no obligation to join any of those societies. You may be doing enough by, just doing your course, but, if maths or computer science is really what you're interested in and you don't want to do this kind of sporty aspects of it, you could always try and join one of those societies to find like-minded people.
Somebody's just asked about the difference between college and university and level sports and Oxford Blues. I don't know if I can put someone on the spot to talk about different levels of sports. I think I might just say college level is generally more casual and fun. There is a university team for a lot of sports. You play against other universities, which has to be a higher level. If you compete for Oxford in particular sports, then you're, I think, qualify for something called an Oxford Blue. Don't entirely know what that means, but there you go. Not a sporty person. No one is volunteering to save me from the sport question. Right, okay. So there's some questions coming in about the sort of end of course as well, and graduation and exams and even careers and internships. So I want to try and move our focus in that direction if we can. During the talk earlier, I mentioned very briefly that the maths course has exams at the end of each year and a tiny bit of coursework, and I think that's piqued people's interests. So people would like to know how it works in computer science, whether you get exams, coursework, projects. So I think we'll start there, and then we'll think about what those exams are like for people. Go on, Dave.
Yeah, so the pattern is similar. So the bulk of your mark for the year will come from exams at the end of the year for the courses you've done all the way through. The work that you do for your tutorials during the year, so you do lots of kind of exercise sheets that get marked and you discuss. They don't contribute to your final mark. They're just something that you do to kind of get on top of the material and understand it better. In computer science, there's quite a few practicals and labs as well, typically for the programming oriented subjects. So for those, they propagate through to some extent. So you do have to kind of pass the year. You have to show that you've done all your practicals and you've done them to a suitably high standard. But in terms of just the mark you're getting for a given year, it's primarily on the exams at the end, basically.
Okay, thanks. Sarah, did you want to add anything from computer science perspective?
Maybe add a little bit. There's in the second year, if you're doing computer science, there's a group project at the end of the year, so that can be quite fun. And a way to kind of solve a specific kind of real world problem. You tend to work in a group, and that will form kind of part of your course as well. Depending on which combination of subjects you take, depends on what kind of your route looks like throughout the course. But that second year project is kind of fairly consistent.
Yeah, and so I'm just picking up. Yeah, so there's also most people will then do a kind of a larger project in the third and or fourth year, which they may do more on the math side, maybe on the computer science side. There's some flexibility there, and that will be a big chunk of work that's done independently through the term. I think I just gave the impression that it was all on the exams at the end. I think, again, particularly in computer science, some of the more practical subjects in the latter years, there is more. A few of them are just done based on a kind of project submitted in the break. So some of the more things where it's more appropriate to do some programming at home and then submit it, that will be done without an exam. So if you prefer to avoid exams to some extent, you've got a bit of flexibility in terms of how you choose your courses.
I'm trying to remember what year the students are in, because if you're in first year, then perhaps you're still in that stage where we're doing compulsory courses and there's going to be exams in a couple of months for that. I think, Max, did you say you were third year student?
Yes, I was.
You've got some choices. Have you made any sort of non-exam based choices along the way there?
Well, yeah, as you go on through the years, you get more and more choice, to the point where you get more choices than you, like you're choosing maybe about a third to a half of the options available. There's no compulsory stuff, and it's all based off of what I most like to study, which is also what I am best at. So both interest and exam-based choices I've made.
I see. Right. Okay. Are you doing a project at the moment, or dissertation?
No, it's all just exams for me.
It's all just exams for you. Okay, cool. Does anybody else any of the students want to chip in on what they're currently doing? Let's switch it up to preparing for exams. So Oxford has almost an entire term at the moment where we do less teaching in the third term to leave space for exams and revision. I think that's a healthy split, that we have a lot of teaching focus, learning lots of stuff, and then towards exams we give people space to revise and think about exams. I imagine people at the moment are getting ready for exams a bit, and maybe some of that is transferable to the people watching who are getting ready for all sorts of A-levels and IB and international qualifications and things like that. You're seasoned professionals now, in a way. You're getting ready for extra exams at university. Have you got any advice that you would give back to people who are getting ready for, I don't know, let's say A-levels or school leaving qualifications? I guess, what would you tell yourself if you're preparing? We'd go to Max again, but other people can join in as well.
Yeah, maths is much more a skill than something you learn. The best way to get good at maths is just by doing maths, and so just looking for questions and solving them, and looking for more questions and solving them. There's so many good resources for math. Math has so many past papers, but if it's just for A-levels in particular, I'm sure there's lots of past papers available for that too. Just doing questions will make you better at math.
I don't know if anybody's got any study tips they want to chip in with. This is something where I look to the students again, but no, maybe not. Okay. So there was a question in chat as well about internships. I think people are thinking about where a maths degree might take you. Again, I'm aware first year students have, at the moment, you've got enough going on with your courses and getting ready for exams. But maybe you've got plans for the summer. Maybe Sarah and Max have got things going on during the summer as well. Oxford has quite short terms with eight weeks of teaching in each of our terms, which gives people a lot of space alongside that to do other things. Has anybody got a plan for the summer, like an internship or some sort of placement or something like that? Let's get to Sarah.
Yeah, so I do have internship planned for this summer. I also did internship last summer. Last summer it was in industry, and this summer it is a research internship. And I think that's a good way to determine what I want to do, what do I enjoy. And for instance, industry, I didn't feel like it's for me now currently, so I decided to try to pursue a PhD afterwards. So I think these are very helpful for such decisions, and I encourage people to do internships. Also, if you don't, it's fine. It's really fine.
I also had an internship after second year, and I've got another one lined up after third year. Both of mine are much more finance based in trading, and so it's basically just doing maths on the job, which I very much enjoyed. One thing I would add is that when you're in first year and before you come to Oxford, you probably have no idea what you want to do. And as you go further through your degree, you'll probably see more doors open up. And the thing with a maths degree is that it does open up an incredible amount of doors, because it really is just honing in your problem solving skills, and that can be applied to nearly every advanced job that you want to do. So that's what.
We've run a careers fair. Sarah, go.
So I was going to say exactly that. So
Careers fair.
I was going to say there's a careers in computing fair that happens every year, usually in October, I think it is, and it's normally held at the Mathematical Institute. So that can be a good way to kind of meet prospective people from industry who might be offering internships over the summer. Also, to reiterate what Sarah said, there's no obligation to do any internships throughout your degree. It's completely up to you. If you want to use the summer to kind of decompress, get yourself ready for the next year, that's absolutely fine. There's different routes that various people can take.
And I should add that we're not expecting people to have this sort of experience before they apply to university. If you've done something and you think it's relevant and useful experience, then you can tell us about it in your personal statement if you like. But most people don't have relevant work experience. I'm not even sure I can think of what relevant work experience might be for maths. I think, so thinking ahead to careers, I think I would talk to the tutors on this. In your experience, you've seen students come and go. What sort of things do students go on to do after the undergraduate course? What happens next after we maybe wave goodbye to them after third and fourth year? Do you have any sort of insight into where people have gone next? I think Stuart or maybe Dave, depending on it.
All sorts. So I've been a mathematician for about since I guess 13, 14 years now, and there's sort of core areas. So mathematicians often, some of them go into further study PhDs, some of them go in the route that Max is talking about into finance. Whether or not mathematicians were also doing computer science, a lot of them find themselves employed in more data science type directions, and the maths degree certainly prepares you for that as well. But not in my time in St. John's, but I've had past former students who are now an airline pilot, right? So the maths degree employs it gives you skills in deep thinking, which I think are valued by employers, the ability to really rigorously analyze situations. And then people can go on and do all sorts with them, with these skills, and they do. So it's really hard to, I think Max has sort of nailed it by saying it's very normal when you're applying to university to not know what you want to do. It's actually reasonably normal for that to continue through the first few years at university as well. I think it's when I'm chatting to students in their third year and I ask them what they think they might want to be doing, if they don't know, they shouldn't be worried about that yet, I think. But my experience is very much that they are well equipped to go and do lots of things and do not have problems getting good quality jobs at the end of their degree.
As I've got older, I've realised that there are also people who have left university and got jobs who still don't totally know what they want to do and could switch at any moment to do something different afterwards. And in some sense, this is part of the human condition to not quite know what's coming up next and have the options to mix things up a bit as you go forwards. Sorry if I cut anybody off. Does anybody else want to get involved on post-Oxford life? Okay. So I think we've got 10 minutes on the call, and there's some questions in the Slido that I haven't done that have got lots of thumbs ups. Maybe this is quick fire. I'm not really sure. Some of these are yes/no questions. Let's find out how this goes. So I'm not going to put people on the spot. We're going to try and go really fast to answer as many things as we can in the last 10 minutes. This might be chaos. Let's give it a go. Top question at the moment. Should we still include maths competitions on our application, even if we didn't win and just participated? Thumbs up from Sarah. People seem to be nodding. Yeah, we're keen. I definitely can. Should. It's quite strong. I mean, it's up to you. It's your personal statement. You can include things. Again, interrupt me. Unmute and interrupt me if you want to get a word in edgeways. Otherwise, I'm just going to sort of speed through things. There's a question about getting low GCSEs. What if my GCSE scores are low? I find this slightly humorous because in brackets they put 8 in mathematics instead of 9. 8's a really good grade in GCSE mathematics. Oxford currently treats 8s and 9s as the same, roughly equivalent to what used to be an A star at GCSE back when that was a thing. 8's not a low grade, and in general we have no minimum GCSE requirements. Somebody's also asked about computer science in particular. Was that a hand up from Sarah?
I was just going to say, just remember that we have lots of different ways of looking at your math skills. We have the mathematical admissions test as part of the admissions process. So I don't know, an 8 or a 9 isn't really going to make too much difference to your application, but not having that kind of strong score in the math will. So make sure you're kind of doing your problem solving and practice papers and that kind of thing. And that's really what's going to kind of set you apart from other applicants rather than you've got an 8 instead of a 9 at GCSE.
There's somebody else here with a 4 in GCSE computer science, which reminds me that I don't totally know what's in GCSE computer science. How do the computer science people feel about GCSE computer science? I guess A-level computer science, things like that.
Yeah, we don't require it, and in particular, for example, we don't require any particular experience with a particular programming language. We kind of start from the ground up. So you learn 2 particular languages in the first year that you probably haven't seen before, even if you've got some computer science background. And it really is quite a level playing field in that sense. So having some background, having learned some Python or some Java, whether on a computer science A-level or not, is a great kind of head start to give yourself. But we don't require that as a course. I don't know, Sarah, you want to say more about the mechanics of that?
No, I kind of agree with all of that. I think, maths is kind of the really important thing for us. And that's kind of what we want you to go away from today, knowing that if you're interested in computer science, having those really strong math skills are really going to be what sets you apart.
Thank you. I knew you didn't require computer science A-level, which I guess also means, yes, computer science GCSE.
Yeah, that's right.
This question about A-level further maths options. Which of the further maths options would be best for the maths course? They've got some suggestions like further stats or further pure. From an admissions point of view, an A-star is an A-star. If you've got an A-star, we do not question what courses you did or how you did it. Some people don't have any choices in their school about which sorts of further maths they do, so it'd be weird for us to exclude some of them. As I mentioned before, we try to teach people from first principles to get them up to speed with what's going on our course.
And my sort of standing advice is, if you have a choice, choose the thing you're most interested in, and don't. That would be my standing advice for all these things.
Yeah. I sort of want to throw to the students to find out if they had A-level choices, but then it might sound like I'm asking them to identify preferred options. I don't know. So, have you got any particular takes on maths? Go, Callie.
So they didn't give us a lot of choice. Got a choice between extra pure and numerical methods from the MEI exam board, and I did choose extra pure, and that has given me a bit of a head start on things like group theory and that kind of thing. But they do start from the beginning, and so I would have been fine if I'd done numerical methods instead.
And there's a constructive maths course in the Oxford maths course this term, which is more related to...
Yeah, maybe you've had an extra start in a different direction, so it's choice extra starts, right? So.
Extra starts in different places. 2 questions about EPQs. I don't know if everyone on the panel's heard of EPQs. It's an extended project qualification where you get to write an essay maybe about a maths topic. We found that it varies a lot from school to school whether you're allowed to do it on a maths topic or not. It's not part of our standard conditional offers, mostly because most schools don't offer it as a thing. If you get the chance to do an EPQ on a maths sort of thing, then that might be a good starting point for part of your personal statement. The question says, can you use it as a supercurricular? Which it is supercurricular in a way. It's extra maths that you're reading about that perhaps you didn't have to. So you can talk about that if you like, but we don't have grade requirements on it. Which somehow the next question is also EPQs. Is a bad grade in an EPQ worse than not taking an EPQ altogether? And again, we don't have a requirement for the grade, so it'd be somehow even weirder if we punished people for EPQs that we didn't need. there's a question about how many students we have. 4. No, wait. How many students? Sorry, how many students in total? Which is 200 maths students, in counting all of the different sort of varieties across the year. And if I look closer at the question, they're actually asking about when those students get admitted. We make offers in January for people to start the course in October. Because almost everyone meets the grades for the offer, almost everyone starts the course, chooses to study at Oxford with us. We don't make additional offers later on, so we don't top that up with extra offers through the spring months, and we don't take part in UCAS clearing, at least in recent years. So by and large, those are our offers that we made in January. So it's got quite admissionsy. Let's try and switch that. Top question at the moment is, how much overlap is there between the sort of computer science you do at school? I think Dave and Sarah have talked about this a little bit, but we'll revisit it quickly. The sort of computer science that you do at school, maybe in A-level computer science, is there an overlap between that and the computer science that you do at university? Sarah?
Yeah, I think the way that we study at university is very different, and I think particularly in the way that the A-level computer science course is structured, it will be very different at kind of university level compared to that. And as Dave was saying before, we start it's very mathematically focused, and we start with kind of the underpinnings of computer science first, and kind of work through that throughout your degree. So not very similar.
Yeah,
I don't know if Dave, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just follow up on that. That's very true. That the kind of mathematical side of it is really important. The maths and computer science students, the programming are there in the first year. It'll be a language called Scala, which is kind of close to Java, and it's some functional programming with Haskell, both of which most people have not seen. So it's a new experience, and it's kind of, but yeah, it builds on those ideas. If you've done some data structures and you've done a bit of programming in general on such courses, that will help. But there's not a huge amount of overlap.
Thank you. I'm reviewing other questions as well. Sorry for the pause. There's a question about quotas for certain types of students. They're asking about whether we have a quota for UK students versus international students. The answer is no. In fact, we don't have quotas based on any demographic for particular numbers of students. We just want the best people for our course, no matter where you're watching this in the world. So no quota. And I think the number I gave for the number of people we admit on maths and computer science might have been a little bit out of date. Good look to Sarah on the spot. How many people do you think you admitted for maths and computer science last year overall?
Well, for maths and computer science,
yeah. More than 30?
Yeah, it was more than 30 for maths and computer science. I think, I know we made offers to about 70 odd students.
Wow.
But how many people kind of come through the door who we actually admit onto the course can be a little bit lower than that, because it depends if people take us up on the offers that we give them, or they, choose to go to another institution, or they meet the entry requirements. And
if it helps, I've just looked this up on our website, and the number on our website is 48.
Thanks, Stuart. If in doubt, on the website. Question for students, and I think this might wrap things up a little bit. It's a question about the workload. I told the people watching the first stream that there is a workload element to the course. The question is, what's that like? What's the workload like? Which we could answer in terms of like hours that you spend in lectures or something. But I'd like to try and get a bit broader to how do you sort of manage a workload, and is it worth it overall, to sort of wrap the stream up as well. Wave at me if you'd like to talk about workload. Max is fastest finger, I think, so Max can go first.
Yeah, I'd say this massively varies from person to person, probably. You can spend, you're no longer at school, you get to choose how much work you do. Personally, I'm doing about like 6 hours a day or something now, including weekends, because as a student, for me, the whole week is blurred into one. I don't really take weekends off. But sometimes I take days off. It can vary a lot from week to week, but it's a fair amount of maths you do here.
Okay, and then Srijan?
Yeah, so far the workload's been pretty constant, I think. I know like some of their courses are pretty variable, like they have a reading week with just less workloads, and then like an essay week or something. Maths, from my experience, this year has just been like about the same workload every day. How I get through it is like I make a planner and I just write, okay, for like I just plan my week every Monday. So I just like write down like, okay, these are the times I have lectures, these are the times I have tutorials, and then I should aim to get this problem sheet done on this day. And yeah, and I think if you just have a good planning skills, like if you have good like skills like that, then it's good, and it's definitely it's worth it.
And then Sarah?
Yeah, so I agree with everything said so far, really. I think it's all about personal organization and it depends from person to person. I wanted to add something maybe unrelated, but during the first 2 terms, at first it seemed scary to me that we have only one time for exams. So there's only one exam season, let's say, and then if we don't do well on these days, it's not over. Like for prelims there is reset, but then it sounded scary. And now, as I've gone through like 2 exam seasons so far, I think I really appreciate the fact that during first 2 terms there are no exams and we can really focus on spending time on enjoying these courses, reading them like from first word to the last one, and really focusing on learning them, not focusing on getting good grades on exam during first 2 terms. And then of course there's a Trinity term where we usually spend like the whole term preparing for exams in 3rd year.
I'm gonna put
So yeah, it's not a scary thing that there's only one exam season per year. That's what I wanted to say.
And to round things out on the stream today, I'm going to put Callie on the spot, I think, for a student workload question. To be honest, is it worth it? Overall, you've got all these courses, you've got all these exams coming up, you've got quite high workload where maybe the days blur together and you learn a lot of mathematics. Do you think it's worth it overall? Put Callie on the spot.
Oh, I mean, it is absolutely worth it. You know, I've loved every day. It is like they recommend 40-hour working week, which is, fairly standard as far as I'm aware. You can do it however you want. I tend to do it where I work quite hard at the start of the week and then have an easier end of the week because I just enjoy that. But it's not so bad that that's an impossible thing. But I do think planning is also important. So you can't leave everything until the last minute because then it just becomes insurmountable, and that would not be worth it. But it is worth it for me.
Thank you, Callie. You had the option there to say it's not worth it and totally ruined my open day. Checks in the post. No, we're not. Right, okay. On that note, I think we're going to wrap up the live element of the open day. As a reminder to people watching, there's links on the open day page if you want to see some sample lectures or content that's been made for Open Days Taster Mathematics. I might see some of you again for Oxford Online Maths Club, and then later the Math live stream, interview questions as part of the Math live stream later on. I'm going to stay in the Slido for a little bit of time to type answers to questions that we didn't get to. If you'd like to see what they are, they'll be in the Slido, so you can browse typed answers to people's questions. But I think we're going to say thank you very much to the panel, to Srijan, Max, Callie and Sarah, our current students, to Dave and Stuart, tutors at Oxford, and to Sarah from the Computer Science Department. Thank you very much to them for answering all of these questions. Thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you around online or in person for some more mathematics. Have a lovely afternoon. Take care. Goodbye.